You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way. You showed me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way.
You make me win in every way.
I'm amazed that you can even sing when you're a little under the weather, Carmi Wams. How are you doing?
I'm good. I have been struggling with just sinus, like terrible seasonal stuff that I kind of struggle with in Joburg every year. But I haven't been in Joburg this time of the year properly for years. So I'm now just getting used to it. So I'm a bit like uncomfortable. But I think a lot of people are struggling with that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And
especially under these times, it can feel like, what is that? But at least you do know what it is for you, what you're struggling. Yes.
It doesn't feel like the dreaded COVID-19, thank you, Lord, or anything like that. It's just like, just uncomfortable kind of sinus, weird pressures and pain and like postnasal, all those lovely things that happens to us human beings.
Yeah.
And you, Sami?
I am good. I feel like this last week has felt really quite tricky. I know you and I were speaking as well, just like you're saying, seasonal stuff, and then also astrologically. If you start reading charts, you actually realize, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm feeling this way. I'm not going crazy. There's all sorts of stuff happening out there.
Right.
And so journaling this week felt tricky. And I realized, Carms, it takes so much courage to do this work. Like, as much as CBT, like cognitive behavioral therapy, really gives us the tools to like really delve into those things, like the thoughts, emotions, obviously belief systems. It's like there are certain things that you are really attached to, particular belief systems that are hard to depersonalize yourself from. And it takes a lot of grace to face them. I think it's an act of bravery. And especially because the persona, this mask, is something that we've carried since childhood. Since early childhood. So to sort of like lower it and look behind is scary. And I also realized the reason is because we all have this basic fear. Every single human has this basic fear. And we're petrified if we look deeply at it, we will see our worst fear confirmed, which is worthy of love. And I think that's at the core of so many false limiting belief systems. They're either in defense of, and we act out, or it's just something that we really need to address. But I think it's the same for everyone.
And the basic fear is that we are unworthy.
Unworthy of love.
In whatever way that manifests today. And I think that's why this work is so important, to check in with oneself and journal and listen to consume nurturing material, which is what we at Soul Sister really hope to kind of convey as well, is material and kind of our experiences and how we check in with ourselves on a daily basis, and just maybe some inspiration, because sometimes when it's easy to be stuck in a bad kind of negative rut with anything. So basically, I also wanted to, before we go into today's pondering, I wanted to go back, because on Monday we did the exploration exercise where we asked, write down your negative core beliefs, list 3 pieces of evidence contrary to that negative core belief. And we didn't check in with each other. We didn't have time. So Sami, do you want to go with that, or shall I share mine?
Yeah, I mean, sure. After journaling as well, it like went deeper than this. This felt really superficial after I looked at it again, but I'm going to leave it like that because the rest of the stuff feels too personal to share. So I'll just share a basic one that needed further looking into, but it was, I should be further along in my life goals.
Yeah.
I should,
Yeah.
Like,
What
did you want to ask?
And what were the 3 pieces of evidence that you find were contrary to that belief?
If I look at my career, I think I've done a huge amount.
Amen.
And not just in one area, sort of like all across the board. I have like spent a lot of time developing all parts of myself, So not just career, there's been internal work, there's been relationship work, and all of that takes time to invest in. And also just the wisdom that I've gained. I think everything that I've gone through has led me to this point, and it's worthwhile and it's valuable. So I can't regret any of it. And finally, there is a knowing. So if that is evidence to say different, but my knowing is that everything happens in divine timing. And so this time is exactly what it's meant to be: exploration, working on self, and then I will be ready when the next opportunity presents itself, and I'll know what to do.
Right. That's all you see, and that's how one turns a negative core belief, or at least one always has to check in with it, and sometimes it requires daily mental turning around. Mine was that I'm lazy. I have this negative core belief that I'm lazy because I can be, I guess. But I then had to go and look at evidence. Why am I not lazy? Well, because I started the Voice Lab, which is my singing studio, which is really exciting. And it took a lot of work to kind of get the branding and all of that up and going and really put down what I wanted to communicate. Secondly, I have achieved things in my adulthood.
Yes.
I mean, it's so funny how sometimes we have to talk to ourselves like we're children. Like we have to parent ourselves. And we're parenting ourselves. And so I said I've achieved things in my adulthood.
Massive amounts, yes.
If you guys know who I am, then you kind of think, okay, I've played this role and I've toured here, whatever. Then people around me say otherwise. That's the third one, is people will tell me, Carms, you're so busy and you're always doing stuff. So that helped. That was my exploration exercise. We're just checking back in with that. But yeah, reflections through journaling on last week's topic, right, was challenging our core beliefs. And this resulted in me trying to stop the incessant mental chatter, because I was trying to apply what we chatted about by adopting the two positive types of positive thinking, Sami, that you introduced, which was problem solving and being in the present moment. And then it just hit me in the chest, like being in the present moment has brought me right back to the discovery of this that I made when I was 20. And I literally inked it on my wrist when I was 23. That is and that is Sanskrit. Mm-hmm. And the word is Adunha, which is ADHUNA. And it stands for in the present moment. And I inked it on my wrist so that I can remember, so that I can anchor myself into that, because that is for me the only place from which to operate in this world. But I keep forgetting it. And so that.
You have to write it here, Carmen.
I know, on my forehead. So with that said, here's today's pondering. Being in the present moment, isn't that a powerful thing? So firstly, I'd like to open the pondering today by reading from the book that kind of made it all come together for me, which is The Power of Now by Eckhardt Tolle.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to read the foreword, which is by Russell E. DiCarlo. And he says, the problem of humanity is deeply rooted in the mind itself, or rather our misidentification with the mind. Our drifting awareness, our tendency to take the path of least resistance by being less than fully awake to the present moment, creates a void. And the time-bound mind, which has been designed to be a useful servant, note, a useful servant, compensates by proclaiming itself master. Like a butterfly flittering from one flower to another, the mind engages past experiences, or projecting its own made-for-television movie, anticipates what is to come. Seldom we do find ourselves resting in the oceanic depth of the here and now, for it is here in the now where we find our true selves, which lies beyond our physical body, shifting emotions, and chattering mind. So that basically sums this book up in a nutshell. For most people, presence, this feeling of presence, adunha, is experienced either never at all or accidentally. when, when we have those experiences where we like, we'll watch a sunrise, or if you're at the beach and you suddenly see a whale, there's this slowing down and this presence that comes with that, and this just observation of what is happening currently, and it happens by accident, but that is basically what we want to achieve on a daily basis without it being by accident. And I think a lot of normal people, the normal state for most people to be in is not like of an acute pain or unhappiness, but it's a kind of like a continuous background static of like boredom, unease, discontent. And when that stops, there's a sense of relief, right? That's why we find it energizing to do activities like knitting or gymming or repetitive things that kind of switch the mind off. And we also find other ways to make that stop: drinking, drugs, alcohol, sex, food, shopping.
Totally.
It's like an aesthetic.
It's a self-soothing mechanism.
Yes, which we need, but I mean, we must try and find healthy ones.
Yes, exactly.
And a lot of what I'm saying is literally coming from the book because it's so powerful to me. But Eckhardt writes that Carl Jung, or Carl Jung, or Carl Jung, however you pronounce it, mentioned in one of his books a conversation that Carl had had with a Native American chief. And the chief had told him that the chief had noticed that the Western people, so if you think back to when the Native Americans just were introduced to Westerners, there would be white men, okay? So the Native Americans noticed that the white men or the white women always had tense faces, staring eyes, and a cruel demeanor. And he asked Carl, what are they searching for? What are they always searching for? Another example is Jesus, who asked his disciples, and it says in the Bible, why are you always anxious? Can anxious thoughts add a single day to your life? No. Another example, Buddha teaches that the root of all suffering is found in wanting and craving. So all religions have an equivalent of this. Whatever you believe, that is the answer. So we need to try the very thing that is right in front of us all the time, which is becoming present, and it eludes us and it's hard, right? So that's just some reading I did about it. And
I think,
and I wanted to go into how to start doing this.
Yes, Carmen. I mean, I'm just one little thing I wanted to say was just like what you're talking about is the sense of presence and being present. And I think, again, our egos are tricky because it forces us to search for something, thinking that it's outside of our reach and we're going to attain it somewhere in the future. But in actual fact, our lifetime is supposed to be spent letting go of stuff. And it tricks us into thinking that we need to search for something that we already have, which is presence and the present moment. That's all you have.
Yes, exactly. And how do we do this? So this is the question. We've now identified, okay, maybe we should try and be more present, but it's not that easy. How do we do it? So I am paraphrasing from the book because there is no better way to say this, and I have to credit Eckhardt Tolle. But first of all, we have to recognize that there is an observer and an observee inside the mind. And this is what changed my life, was when I realized that I could watch my thoughts, that I was not my thoughts, that they were separate somehow from me. This is the observer and the knower. So I am not my thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are. You just are. The thoughts come and go, and we can observe them, which means that there's a presence inside of us which is separate from that, because you can't observe something if you are that thing. So
exactly,
Eckhardt writes, you are the knower who dwells behind the thinker. And that's where the power lies.
I love that.
And it says consciousness in its pure state before any identification with form. What is identification with form? I am male. I am human. I am an actor. That's all of that. We need that to survive. So we're not saying we don't need that, but we can't be ruled by that. So that's that's the how, basically. What do you think, Sami? You wanted to weigh in maybe with...
Yeah, I mean, I exactly that. I love that. It's the observer and the observee, and you can also say the great witness, like who's the witness in me, like who is witnessing everything that's arising. Exactly what you're saying. So, like you say, I'm not my thoughts. I have thoughts. I'm not my thoughts. And I think when one can sort of like put that distance in place, then like again, even if we know you have to go into the world, you have your ego, you have your story, and you need it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We wouldn't survive without an ego. It's our personality, and it's what gives us all these human qualities. But if one can even just address it at some point, sometime in the day, every day, just check into that presence and go, remember who I really am, because it gives you this beautiful sense of a unified sense of connection to spirit and to your higher self, so you don't get lost in the story of your mind. So I agree with you 100%.
What would you say connection to spirit if someone is not, if someone's agnostic, what would you say to them?
And this is the funny thing is like, the difference between mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness has been used now in corporate because they realize, like you were talking about, like mindfulness can be used just as a de-stressor. They realize meditation has those kinds of effects, being able to sleep better, being able to be more present, being able to be happier, more fulfilled in each moment, have better relationships, all those benefits. And actually, when you're doing that, you might find something else within you that you don't know what that is, because you've never had a sense of believing in anything greater than yourself. But even if it is just believing in your higher self, your sense of your moral self, your sense of this person that actually in connection with your moral code, even if it's just that you want to connect to, that in itself is going to be a healing thing. If something else is exposed to you, like spirit, absolutely delve into it, but it's whatever your experience is. In any way, it's like whether you think it's a placebo or not, it's been known to work. Mindfulness practices and being in the present moment absolutely eases all sorts of symptoms that we have: anxiety, depression, separation from each other, beating of ourselves.
And it is such
No, absolutely.
It is such concrete evidence that it is literally incorporated in one of the most structured environments in the world, which is the corporate space. Right. So, so how do we do that? We check in with ourselves. We notice that there's a noticer and something that is being noticed inside. We partake in mindful activities like singing. I find singing is so mindful, especially when you're having to learn something new. You have to concentrate on your entire body. What is my body doing to make the sound? Oh, I need to do that. Oh, I need to support more. It's so mindful. And just singing scales sometimes. And then knitting, any repetitive activity that you kind of find yourself being immersed in. But I would like to go into the exploration exercise for today. So if everybody can just get their journals out, if you're at home, get out your journals. And I'm going to pop up a little visual today. And then as part of that, I'll speak the exercise underneath it. So here goes. Okay, so the exercise is the following. You are going to observe yourself. So let's look at, for the next 2 minutes, and I'm going to time it. Let's say the next minute. What are we identifying with? What are the identities that we have created for ourselves? And list as many as you can. I am woman. I am a singer. And these identities or things that we identify with can be I am a blah, 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 or I am la, la, la. I am lazy. I am a mother. I am angry. All the things that we can identify with, that we do identify with. So I'll just give you a minute to do that. Thirty more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okie dokie. So I think once again, Sami and I will reflect back on this journal exercise, and then we'll tune in next week with our observations of what this exercise brought up for us. So that means, if you're okay, Sami, we can move into heart space.
Totally. Absolutely. Okay.
It's a very powerful one.
And here we go. So we're going to see if we've got any lovely things. Hello, Karen.
Hello.
I'm going to show you a card. You see, that's a beautiful
What?
message.
Oh, I thought you were saying hi to me. Hi, Karen. Beautiful Karen is a very good friend of mine and of Keats and of the Ditchfields.
Yes.
Once you become an
I
observer
know,
of your
I've seen it
life,
on your wall.
yes. Oh, Jess, we
Thank
love you, Jess. Thank you for this.
Yeah, Jess.
We really appreciate you guys
beautiful.
watching
Lovely.
and weighing in.
Yeah.
I thought you were like, hi, Karen, and I was like, what? Okay. Sorry. Brain
You
fart.
are funny, yes. Okay, so there's another.
Sammy has gone away. Okay, so while she kind of gathers herself towards herself, I'm gonna go into heart space. Sam, are you back?
Yes, I've been here all along.
I see. The observer and the observed.
There you go. So basically, this message came through my inbox, and it said, how can I stop the relentless thoughts in my head? And I guess this is from last week still, but no matter how many times I sit in stillness, the thoughts just come. What do I do? It's too difficult. And yeah, I mean, I have this often, all the time, in fact. I think, first of all, the most important thing is that we shouldn't be, the point of it is not to be judgmental. So not to get in judgment.
That's the hardest part.
It is the hardest part. But I think also there are ways that you can help yourself. So if you find that it's in the middle of the day, there is an exercise that you can use that pulls you immediately into the present. And Carmen was talking about that earlier, about, seeing a whale, seeing a sunrise or something. You can do it with some stuff that actually doesn't even have an emotional attachment to it, because that even pulls you more into the present without there being a meaning, So you can actually suddenly stop, look at your surroundings, and suddenly notice clock on the wall, desk, photo frame, books, whatever it is. It's like whatever you see around you that's an object immediately pulls you into the present and stops that mindless chatter. And suddenly you're present, standing,
I
floor.
love that.
You know what I mean? That's an immediate sense of there.
Because it forces you to engage with what is in your...
Yes, it forces you to stop what's in your mind and to engage with the present moment. And then it almost changes the stream of thought. You might want to go back to it, but you can just keep saying, stop, focus on until you have a new thought, until there's a new task that you're doing or whatever. But I also find that sometimes in the morning, even when I wake up, my mind is going. And so I find the best time for me to do meditation is often after physical exercise. So especially after yoga, once you've exerted yourself, there's this beautiful need to relax. And so lying down on your back and kind of going straight into a meditation exercise or a mindfulness exercise feels like you can immediately go there. And I often use, an amazing, I use Asana Rebel, as you know, but alpha waves. Alpha waves are a beautiful thing to actually use because it almost like affects the brain waves that you have.
Right.
I'm going to paste it here. And so you can actually go on YouTube if you want and find this particular one is beautiful. Just immediately changes you and puts your mind into a complete relaxation, into a state of relaxation, ready to be present in the moment, allows you to retain all sorts of information, be open to new lessons, but it just already puts you into that state.
Are those both links to alpha waves?
So this one is Alpha wave sounds. Oh, it's gone twice. So did I click a double time? Is that what
Maybe.
happened? Probably. Yeah, and then Asana Rebel, I guess. If you just go into Facebook and you just type in Asana Rebels, you'll see a whole bunch of apps there as well. So that's kind of cool.
Okay. And Alpha, I just want to write here the 2 links above are to a good Alpha Waves. What do we say?
Yeah.
Like,
so Alpha Waves
sound?
mindfulness, it's almost a sound, yeah. It's just an audio kind of
Good Alpha Waves audio.
like a
Yeah,
sonic
cool.
portal into this other world, which is beautiful.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And so is that, so you'd say like check in
I would
once
say
a day with
that.
that?
I mean, look, the reason why I love Asana Rebels is the fact that they've actually got an entire thing for you to log into it. So it's an app. Here it is.
Yeah.
And it basically also just sets out your entire day for you. So it reminds you to do a whole bunch of things. It reminds you to drink water. It reminds you to do some exercise. It reminds you to be mindful now. It reminds you to do deep work. It reminds you to walk into nature. It reminds you to do all sorts of things that you might forget to do.
Yes.
And all of those are mindfulness practices. There's so many different techniques.
So Sami, so there's the Alpha Waves link, and the other link to Asana Rebel.
That's it. You can actually go on YouTube with this and get them free. Some of the workouts are free, but if you want the entire scope of the app, then just go into your Google Play or your whatever your Play Store is, whatever phone you have.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We hope that Anonymous, that answers your question.
Yeah.
And it takes work.
I think what I'll do as well is also just link you up with, there's a wonderful woman that I do yoga with. I used to do yoga with. She's moved overseas, but she started doing stunning presencing and meditations online. And that's the other thing that I used to find helped is like this group energy. Everyone's doing it together. You set a sacred space, you light your incense, you light your candles. You're already preparing yourself to going into this. You're playing this beautiful music. And then to know that you're actually linking in with a whole bunch of people who are also doing it at the same time is really quite beautiful.
Yes,
so
that's nice.
Type that here.
So Luke, our technical director, who's off screen, which y'all can't see, but we can. He's so much fun. He just said that one link, we think it's posting twice on our side, but it's posting once to YouTube and once to Facebook, which is perfect.
You.
Thanks, Luke. You're so cool. Okay, so shall I move on to shall we have a look at quote of the day, Sami?
Yes.
You happy to move on, hey?
Totally happy.
Okie dokes, everybody. Quote of the day. I'm joking. I can't resist. Quote of the day today is obviously centering around our topic, which is presence, being in the present moment. And here it is. If you were conscious that, not this, that was my fault. That is to say, totally present in the now. Quote of the day. Sorry, guys, my bad. If you are conscious, that is to say, totally present in the now. All negativity would dissolve almost instantly. It could not survive in your presence. I love that. It could not survive in your presence, because in your presence is a phrase we hear so often, in our daily lives. But if we really look at what that means, in your presence, that is so powerful in the context of what we did today. Sorry, guys, I did check that spelling 3 times. Sorry, Karen. Karen is a very experienced writer, English teacher, linguist.
A cunning
So, yeah.
linguist.
A cunning linguist. Oh my word. Oh, shame. Valentina Knight says, Carmen. Thanks, Valentina. Love to you guys. Yeah,
Carmen,
so
you've got
that's.
a lot of friends. I don't really have many friends.
Oh, shut up, Samantha. You've got so many friends.
You're my best.
You're my bestie too. Valentina is the mom of one of the kiddies that did Sound of Music with me.
I love
Yeah.
you. I love that.
So that's that.
All right. Do you want to move on, my love?
We can go to moment of mindfulness.
Moment of mindfulness. So what I wanted to do was just to check back in the fact that the last 3 episodes, I think it was, we literally like introduced you guys to basic mindfulness techniques or exercises. They were kind of focusing on breath. They were kind of focusing on labeling thoughts that came up, physical sensations. And if you actually go into any sort of mindfulness app, you'll find so many. I went into, this is so brilliant, dummies, mindfulness for dummies, and that's essentially what we all are.
Oh my word!
It's even better if you actually have a clean slate and you've never done anything, because it's like it immediately opens you up to new experiences, right? And so if you see this, what it does is it just shows you exactly what we've said, that there's so many different ways of managing to get present. And I just wanted to highlight the difference between mindfulness and then mindfulness meditation.
Can I quickly just say hi to Jack Warren, who says, hello, lovely.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jackie boy.
Hi, Jack. Hi, Jack. Sorry, Sami. I had to give him a nod because Jack was in Chicago with us and he's in the UK. You look beautiful. Hi, Jack. And hi, Jessica Wilmore. Thank you, darling.
Yeah. And Mel.
Sorry, Sami. Hi, Mel. Move on. Sorry, Sami.
Sorry, get my ass into gear here. So mindfulness, darling. Now I want to talk like Jack, but I'm going to stop. Mindfulness is the act of being consciously aware with mindful attitudes. You can practice mindfulness only over any length of time, for the duration of a single breath or for your whole life. You can practice it while waiting in a queue, and that's why I think it's brilliant talking to your partner or walking down the street. Whereas meditation is basically trying to drop sort of any attention to thoughts. You're trying to drop all thoughts. You're trying to eventually drop sort of any ego thoughts, and that sort of is attained. I mean, meditators like do this for 25 years, and then they're only finally reaching this place, So we didn't want to go into any more sort of exercises because it is like a sacred practice. And also, as Carmen said earlier, there's the fact that sometimes when you are presencing yourself, you might have a very personal experience of what it is you actually find, and it's personal. And it's something that maybe you need to explore. And so, as I said, there are so many of these different techniques. You can find that there are mindfulness eating, mindfulness walking, as I say. There is visualization techniques, gratitude techniques. We also spoke about loving kindness. So it's whatever it is that actually works for you. So if you go onto that Mindfulness for Dummies, you'll see all of them listed there. Try them out, see which one works for you, and then just practice it. Practice and move on until you find another one, master each new one. Or maybe you might just have a favorite, and that's quite beautiful. So I just wanted to also just show you here. This is what we have covered. And I can't read because I need my glasses. So that
this is a bit small because I tried to just like
You know what? It's not about the size. It's about what's actually behind the size and what one does with it. It says step out of autopilot. We spoke about that, being present. Then there's also become aware of the breath, and then expand your awareness outward. So let your experience spread outward, first to your body, and then to your surroundings. And that was also being conscious of all the stuff that sort of arose, your sensations in your body as well. So that just kind of beautiful. But what I wanted to do is you mentioned Eckhardt Tolle, and you mentioned that whole practice of like discovering, the observer and the observee. And I have read Eckhardt Tolle as well, and then I was introduced to the amazing Ken Wilber. And I'm just going to read for you because his writing is so magnificent as well. So I'm going to read to you very quickly. He writes in a way that's like, he's a scientist, he's a philosopher, he's a psychologist. He studied everything. He studied every kind of Eastern religion, every kind of Western religion. And but his writing captures me because it's got this beautiful lyrical kind of like emotive flow to it. So that's my feeling sense, and it engages me in that way. So he says, basically, so Carmen, you can try this. It says, notice your present awareness. Notice the objects arising in your awareness, the images and thoughts arising in your mind, the feelings and sensations arising in your body, and the myriad objects arising around you in the room or environment. All of these are objects that are arising in your awareness. Slowly begin to silently recite the following to yourself, trying to realize as vividly as possible the importance of each statement. I have a body, but I'm not my body. I can see and feel my body, and what we've seen and felt is not the truth.
So
I have a body, but I'm not my body. And it moves on. I have desires, but I'm not my desires. I can know. Have you lost me? Or there I am.
We have lost you, Sami. So let's check in if Sami is back again.
That is so bizarre because I am hearing myself.
You're back again. You're back again, darling. You're back again, darling.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. But you're like, what
is going on?
Oh no, now she's gonna freeze on a very
Luke is like this.
So Luke, our technical director, is like this. Okay, so yes, my son.
Have you got me back? I'm gonna move on.
Yes.
Oh gosh, we almost finished. I have the this is a balls up, Luke. Basically, guys, the most important thing is to do that exercise, and then to get to the phase where can you hear me?
Yes. We love you. I love you.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to say this. We got 2 minutes. It's almost like once you have connected with this, then you can realize that a million things have come and gone. Objects have come and gone. Thoughts have come and gone. Surroundings have come and gone. But there's one thing that has not gone. There's one thing that was present 5 minutes ago that was present 5 years ago. There's one thing that was present 5 years ago that was present 500 years ago. Everything else changes. The objects come and they go and they arise in our awareness. The one thing that remains is presence. And we call that the great I amness, or the witness. There it is.
I love that. And if you we'll post whatever that was just in the comments.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Right here it is.
Let's go into takeaway, and then we'll post all of that into the comments and just make sure that everyone can see what you were talking about. Sorry, Sami. Technology.
Yeah, no.
So just very quickly, our takeaway for today is usually your journals, which is 5 things to be grateful for in the morning, 5 things to be grateful for at night, 5 things you're proud of yourself for doing. Then the reflection on this topic, as well as the affirmation for the day, which is as follows. I fully accept that this moment is the only truly we love you guys today. I fully accept that this moment is the only true reality that exists. How beautiful is that?
I think it's stunning, and I think the universe has a great sense of humor. And as we're going into something really deep and meaningful, it also tells you you need to laugh and have fun, and that raises your vibration. So hallelujah! All right,
And here we are.
I'm sorry,
last
I have
thing.
to get this in. I have to get this in, Luke. The one last thing is, like, in your journals, carry on writing 5 things you're grateful for, 5 things that you're happy for at the end of the day that happened. And one last thing, artist date. We're going to introduce that now. Is sometime during the week, choose 1 hour that you can absolutely take yourself on a date. And that means just being fully present to whatever it is. If it's just mindfully eating a beautiful bowl of food that you've made for yourself, whether it is just sitting in nature and being fully present, noticing everything. It's an hour to take yourself on a date and then to journal about it and reflect back. And we'll see you next week.
Happy voyaging.
You cut me loose and set me free. You cut me